Some titles end up being so noteworthy for their unique style that they become synonymous with a whole new genre. We've had roguelike and souls-like, and of course there's the famous Metroidvania genre. The latter is an oft-travelled one and is where Ori has been making a name for himself, focusing on nimble gameplay combined with great story and visuals. While there's clearly no need for an Ori-like genre, there's a certain style that feels familiar, almost unique to this plucky little spirit and its gorgeous world. It's fair to say the superb Ori and the Blind Forest set a very high bar back in 2015. Ori and the Will of the Wisps manages to match it and throw in a few new ideas of its own. The story begins centred around a new character, Ku, an avian friend of Ori's. Due to its feeble wing, Ku dreams of flying through the skies but has never experienced it. An ingenious solution courtesy of the bird's mother sees Ku and Ori fly out to the horizon, experiencing new worlds from a fresh perspective. But then, disaster strikes, and Ku and Ori plummet downwards to a strange land. Ori must now journey into the unknown to find his lost friend. And I won't spoil any more of the plot because, like its predecessor, it can get a bit emotional at times. The story is cleverly expressed, often implying mood with character reactions or conveying it through lighting and sound. You'll feel sadness and sympathy for these characters that you're rooting for, and maybe also those you're not, thanks to the considered narrative and the restrained approach to its storytelling. The sombre, soft and deep tones of the narrator provide additional beats only when absolutely necessary. The gameplay will feel familiar to those who've played Ori and the Blind Forest. Ori needs to jump, run and climb his way around sprawling 2D environments. Along the way you'll piece together more of the story Ori's wrapped up in and unlock new skills to help on your adventure. The movement feels slick and responsive, allowing for precise navigation around the dangerous environments. New obstacles you come across often seem insurmountable at first, however thanks to an agile Ori and a bit of practice there's always a clear way through. There's plenty of expectation on Ori and the Will of the Wisps, however it boldly embraces its sequel status and packs itself full of new features and ideas. Combat plays a much heavier role this time around and you have a loadout of 3 skills mapped to the face buttons. Attacking feels responsive and well balanced with plenty of options from melee attacks to ranged projectiles. You manage a passive skill loadout too that gives you various boons in your adventure. It opens up plenty of customization options to suit your style. There are even combat shrines dotted around the place where you can further hone your skills. Upgrading these skills is also less restricted than before without the constrained upgrade trees. Now you can upgrade skills at any point as long as you have enough currency to pay for it. This particular adventure is also much bigger than its predecessor, taking 12 to 15 hours to play through depending on how many collectibles you want to find. There's a much bigger environment to explore, but it doesn't feel bloated or padded. Each area explores a few new gameplay mechanics and puts them and you to the test. They never outstay their welcome and can be very creative at times. The difficulty can also be tweaked across 3 different levels from the start. Players just wanting to experience the world and the story can now do so, but there's still enough for those who want a more serious challenge too. Aside from the fluid traversal, Ori games are famous for their gorgeous visual style and rousing emotional soundtrack. Thankfully, Will of the Wisps nails this area too. Not only does the world look detailed and full of life, but even enemies and character models are finished with polish. The use of lighting is stunning in parts, with sunbeams cutting through trees overhead or faint hues emitting from flickering sources. Despite being 2D, the use of background and foreground adds depth, helping to bring the experience to life. The sound is sublime, whether used delicately as ambience or ramped up for the tough boss encounters. The sound that supplements the story sections is equally emotional and considered, adding to those heartfelt moments. In terms of performance, there are noticeable drops in frame rate at various points. Additionally, there are occasions where it would stutter to a halt as if it was catching up with itself, and this isn't very helpful when it happens during combat or a complex jumping section. Now, we've been told that there's a day 1 patch that promises to fix these issues, which it needs, because they're very noticeable and distracting. The difficulty spikes from the first Ori title also make a return, causing the same short-term frustrations, but learning from your mistakes feels more pronounced here, and overcoming them rewards you with a sense of pride. There were also a couple of situations where moves mapped to the same context-sensitive input were required to be used consecutively. Sometimes the game confused itself with which one I wanted to do when. The result was a brief lack of control in an experience that otherwise feels incredibly tight. We all love this gaming medium because it provides us with escapism, entertainment, and above all else, fun. Every now and then, a game comes along that doesn't want to settle for just providing us with simple enjoyment. It pushes for something more, feeling like a rounded, carefully crafted experience. The various facets of sound, design, story, and movement all combine to a whole that works effortlessly together. Simple smiles or laughs become something more as you play, a feeling deeper within. Emotions like real joy, affection, sometimes even disbelief at what you're experiencing. Ori and the Will of the Wisps is one such game where superlatives feel entirely justified. A glorious combination of heartfelt story, stunning visuals, soothing sounds, tight, fluid and responsive movement, all contained within levels that feel inspired and packed with ideas. It's bigger, brighter and more refined than its lofty predecessor. Despite occasionally falling on the weight of its more complex ambition, it delivers a remarkable experience that you'll adore from the beginning to the end. Ori is back and it certainly doesn't disappoint. Hi, Adam here. Thank you so much for watching and listening to Chris Hyde's review of Ori and the Will of the Wisps. We'll talk more about this game on our podcast, which comes out every Wednesday and you can find on godisageek.com. If you like this video and want more, hit the subscribe button, which is the big red rectangle, and of course the bell to be notified of our next video. There's a lot going on at the moment as I record this. Thanks so much for your time. Follow us at godisageek on Twitter and we will see you in the next video. Bye for now.